We are live. How you guys doing? It's Josh, the Waterman or Savage Waterman. And this next to me is Mike Hucker Clark.
What's up?
This is going to be a little weird. This is our second time doing this. The first time we did it, we had a little technical difficulty. We put gold out for you guys. We solved all the world problems. We told you all the secret spots of surfing Cabo. Everything was dialed in, and then we had technical difficulties that did not work. So now we have to sit on each other's lap, and we're going to try this again. So this is the Savage Waterman podcast. We talk about everything surfing and fighting, my two favorite passions. And today's guest is Mike Hucker Clark. I will go ahead and turn it over to him, let you guys know a little bit more about Mike. So Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm me. I'm a professional BMX rider, and I grew up in the ocean, surfing, fishing, doing all that good stuff. Never been in a fight, so I'm going to be very interested to see where this might go when it comes to that side of things. But we got pretty deep in it last time.
We did, and I've talked about it since. So I think maybe you will be looking for your first fight in a cage, outside of a cage, controlled.
No, don't get me wrong.
We're going to jump right into it now.
There's sketchy people walking by, and I have my wife and kid with me.
So we'll start.
But I hope that never comes.
We'll jump right into it now, since you brought up the fighting off out of the gate. So you've never been in a fist fight?
Never. Been in drunken wrestling matches where we beat the shit out of each other.
But sometimes those turn into fights.
So we're laughing at the end every time.
Every day. It'd be great if everybody could laugh at the end and get in a street fight. But so we talked about it before. It didn't work out. But so you've never been in a street fight. What would you do right now if we were walking in Cabo and somebody said, "Hey, that's a nice hat. Give me your Red Bull hat." Which, by the way, everywhere we go, they all want these hats. He can't give them up because he's a rider for him, right? Yeah. So anyway, I came up. I snatched your hat. What do you do?
I'd snatch it back before he had a chance to think twice.
Okay, so your technique is speed. Speed kills. All right. So he comes up. You're over there trying to figure out fishing prices. He comes up and grabs that hat. By the time you're looking around at these fishing boats, he's 3 steps away.
I'm going to chase him down and grab it.
Chase him down and grab it. Okay.
It's my job to wear this thing.
Now, what if he does it forcefully, hits you in the gut, or kicks you in the huevos rancheros?
Then I'm going to throw him in the water, put him in a chokehold, grab it, and get out.
Wait. You're going to throw him in the water, then put him in a chokehold. Okay. Well, see, the basic thing is you need to have a plan before this stuff happens. And that's kind of where I train now.
I feel like running off instinct has got me to where I am today, and it's worked out pretty good. And when that time comes, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Either I'm going to get my ass kicked, or that guy is going to wish he never took my hat.
All right. So if you're ever out there and you see,
or I'm going to avoid all of that, ask for it back nicely, and get it back without.
Yeah, but anybody with a mentality who's going to snatch it off your head probably isn't going to listen to, "Hey, dude, can you please give me my hat back?" He's probably already past that point.
My crazy eyes.
So you're going to go with charm, speed, and crazy fighting. And crazy eyes. All right. Well, I've never tried those techniques, so maybe I'll give it a shot. You could blindly attack me one day.
We'll see.
I'll still charm one. So that's a little bit about fighting. But why don't you tell us, you are a pro BMXer. I think you started that out pretty young. How did you get into surfing?
I just always was a fan of the ocean, the water, surfing, bodyboarding when I was a little kid, and I grew up in Fountain Valley, California, which is on the border of Huntington. I was 4 miles from the beach down one road, and just always grew up in the ocean just as much as I was riding a bike.
Yeah. Did you ever have any altercations? Have you ever had any
in the water
matches? Yeah.
I've had some guys yell at me before, and I don't know. You
throw the charm on? The Hucker charm?
And they hug it out after. They're like, "Sorry, man."
Have you ever had anything go to the beach?
No, never.
Yeah.
I've had guys yelling at me in the water, but I feel like they're going to yell at anybody.
Yeah.
And you would probably just yell back, and I'm just like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm just going to sit here and ignore them and do my thing."
Yeah. I just recently moved to San Clemente, and a guy came out, and I pick and choose when I'm going to snap back, but I just paddled out in the water for 2 minutes. And he goes, "Next time you do that, you better fucking shred." I said, "What? You talking to me? Like, I just got out of here."
And he was 14.
No, he thought he was the head honcho. It was T Street. There's 1,000 more people out there. But I said, "Oh, that's weird." I said, "What did you say?" He said, "You're gonna fucking shred it if you're gonna do that." And I was like, wait a second. I can understand maybe if I did some snaking before, which I've been known to do for my friends. But I literally was like dumbfounded. I was like, no, screw that. I'm not letting this side. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I just paddled out 2 minutes ago. I haven't even caught a wave. So what are you fucking talking about? He didn't expect me to bark back. So he already backed down after I did that. I said, you know what? My whole session now is dedicated for you not catching any waves. And I swam up right next to him, and he was like nervously laughing, shaking his head. And normally, I mean, I'm past that stuff now, but it pissed me off because he called me out for doing nothing. Like that one irked me, and I did get upset, and we barked at each other. But once I started to snap back, he kind of realized that
put him in his place.
Yeah, which I think it happens to a lot of people. If you one or two punches, and they realize, oh, I got easier prey to prey on than the guy who actually is going to snap back. So, but anyway, yeah, surfing. But you have a lot of guys who bark.
Yeah. That said, very few times in my life has somebody barked at me in the water.
Yeah.
Like I've always been really good at avoiding that and just not being an idiot. Obviously, people make mistakes, get in the way occasionally. It happens. Yeah. But
there's a guy at Southside. I don't know if he's still out there, but barks at everybody.
Trance guy?
What is he?
Oh, dude, there was this guy. He was always like screaming at everybody. We
Older dude.
Tourette's.
Yeah, that might be the same guy.
He rips though.
Maybe not the same guy. His son now.
This guy rips.
But he would just yell at anybody and everybody. Yeah. Like he thought he owned the place, and everybody kind of.
Did he yell at himself a lot too?
He'd sit out in the lineup. That's how I originally met him. He barked at me about something, and then he sat about 10 feet ahead of me and just kept yelling at me. I thought, but I think you're right. I think he is kind of mental, but he
rips up.
Well, I think he rips more than he thinks he does. But that's surfing. So I think we touched on it last time. Do you take your board, or do you plan your bike trips around surfing, waves, and where's some of the best spots where you've been in there for a bike trip?
Yeah.
But oh, by the way, I scored really good waves.
South Africa, Cape Town. I went there for a bike event, and I knew I was gonna surf, so I brought my wetsuit. But I was like, dude, I don't want to fly to Germany, then fly to Cape Town. It was like 2 or 3 flights to even get there. I think it was 2 actually. But yeah, I went there, and I was just going to rent a board because I knew some guys out there that surfed a lot, or I was going to borrow one of theirs. I went to the surf shop, and dude, it was like $300 for a brand new board. They have their own foam manufacturers out there.
Is that the one where you got Jordy's? One of Jordy's?
No, okay, so I got Jordy Smith's old board for like $120, and it was still like brand new.
Yeah,
and it was his secondhand board.
And now
I think it was like a 6.0 or 6.1.
Is that where JJ is?
No, that's
Is that Australia?
No, that's JJ. Well, there's 2 of them.
What's the one that
Jervis or Jeffries?
Jeffrey's Bay.
Well, one of them's there's 2 of them, I believe. There's like one in Australia, and then there's one in South Africa also.
Well, where's the one that Mick was attacked at? Is that Margaret? I don't know.
I don't remember.
But I know there's a really good wave in South Africa, right?
There's a bunch. There's a ton.
So you scored waves on the trip that you went out there for?
Yeah, like 8 to 10 foot faces, like probably 40-mile-an-hour offshore winds, like way too windy, but it was perfect every day.
Have you had any access to all the wave pools, or any wave pools yet? One in Texas, Kelly?
I went to one in Texas. It wasn't the Waco one. It's this one right outside of Austin. It was for a Red Bull trip. Actually, we got to go do a team building week out there where we had all the North American Red Bull athletes together to like just collab and hang out and get to know each other. And we went to the wave pool one day. We were actually staying out at Willie Nelson's farm. It was rad.
Out in Austin?
Gosh, man, I feel like I'm chewing on my tongue, so my lips all swollen.
What happened to your lip yesterday?
Sorry.
Now that's what podcast.
First wave of the day, I went to hit the lip, and it broke a little soon, and shot the board straight into my lip. So I was that guy.
He comes paddling out, saying, "I need stitches. Do I need stitches? Do I need stitches?"
It's like it flayed the inside, like pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's like right on the crease, and then down farther also.
He was on my board, and I'm glad he's okay, but I also was concerned maybe he put a tooth through my rail.
Today, first wave, some kook out there snaked me, put his board straight into my shin.
Who was that?
I don't know.
We went surfing this morning, and it was actually fun because I've been out in Cabo for a while. It was the first, decent day, and well, I got to preface that with you snaked me.
I was deeper than you. Who was deeper?
You paddled over to me where I was
But
at.
I was already in deeper.
No. And then you turned right in front of me and my hand got caught in his leash.
Yeah, twisted. So we were both sitting there for like 20 minutes.
Rewind the cam. We could rerun the cam whatever time we went out at this morning, which would have been earlier because I had to wake you up. Anyway, so yeah, surfing. You've never been in a fight. BMX, what is your worst injury? I think we touched on.
It's that's like always the first question asked. And to me, it's like, okay, I've broken my neck twice, my back. But at the same time, it's like, I'm fine from that. But I've been knocked unconscious snoring more than I can count on both hands. Maybe both hands and both toes. For sure, concussed both hands, both feet.
Do you confirm that there's, I mean, obviously it's a concussion, but do they see like, hey, you might want to chill out on some of the headbanging?
There's definitely been times where I notice it.
Yeah.
For sure. There was one time I got knocked out. The last time I got knocked out, actually, knock on wood. It like affected my speech. I stuttered. It sounds like I'm stuttering today, but that's because my mouth is swollen. I'm chewing on my tongue. It's swollen too back there. But yeah, I was like stuttering and like couldn't even pronounce certain words for like over a month. And that one freaked me out.
Did you go to the doctor and like get a CT scan?
Yeah, I went to Red Bull and they put me in with their doctors and they're like, we want you to go get checked just to make sure there's no bleeding or anything like that. I'm like, all right, cool. And went there and brain was swollen, but it wasn't bleeding, luckily. And the doctor's like, the best thing you could do is go sit in a dark closet and spend as much time as you can in there. Do not look at a TV. Don't even read. Do not look at your phone. Nothing. Because anything that you look at, it stimulates your brain. Your receptors start going off and they need to completely shut down to heal and relax.
So did you do that?
Yeah.
I was waiting for a no.
I just took a lot of naps.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to go sit in the closet. I'm just going to go sleep because.
So you might as well get into fighting and training because it seems like you already take a beating and give yourself a beating.
Yeah, I've done enough though. Yeah. I would like to do it just for like cardio and learn something new.
Yeah.
Seems like it'd be fun.
Well, there's nothing cardio wise that I've done except for one of those assault bikes that would simulate, like do a 3-minute round of sparring, heavy sparring. You can chip boxing, whatever. Your heart rate goes through the roof.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've done a lot of things to try to get that heart rate going. Boxing, I do a lot of boxing sparring rounds. And as far as cardio way, I mean, it's insane how much you think you're in good shape, go spar 5 rounds with a good boxer who's going to take your head off, because you got to think about getting the hits, you got to think about getting hit, and you got to move, and it's constant moving. So, I mean, it's one of the best cardio runs you can get is sparring.
My buddy Brad Sims, actually, he has like one of the highest bunny hops in BMX. There's like 3 or 4 guys that are all like up there. He's one of them. He's won Nora Cup this year for Street Rider of the Year, which is, well, Street Rider of the Year. But he could bunny hop and do like any dirt jump trick almost with no jump. Like he could bunny hop as high as my shoulder.
Yeah.
I can't jump that high on my best day. Like.
So who did you look up to as a kid growing up doing BMX?
This guy, Corey Nasazio.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them. There's Corey Nasazio, Sean Butler, all the locals at my local trails. They're all older pros. Looked up to a lot of them. Robbie Miranda, Bar Spinner, Shane Dorian.
Riding bikes?
Bro, ever since In God's Hands, I was like, man, Shane Dorian's the sickest.
He rides bikes though, or just because of surfing?
Just that movie. He was like my hero growing up.
You might be the only one who saw God's Hands and thought, wow, In God's Hands and thought, wow, Shane Dorian.
Dude, I was in like kindergarten when I saw it. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Who was the other one? Matt George, I think was in it.
Yeah.
Him, Matt George, and there was another kid. I don't think it was a good friend, like a surfer, but yeah, In God's Hands. I would say, well, let's go into that. All right, for an adult, they're probably like, this guy's a kook. But as little kids seeing that, holy shit, it blew my mind. What is your go-to best surf movie? If he has a stepdaughter, Lincoln, what would you say? Lincoln, you need to watch this for surfing. She doesn't like watching it. She hates it. Okay, I've tried. Okay, my son, 7. What's your go-to surf movie? Jeez. Thump. Is it a movie or is it a
No,
surf?
it's a surf movie.
Okay.
Oh, you mean movie?
I'm talking movie. I don't want to help you out. Like Big Wednesday, great movie, but not my go-to.
I don't know. I never I watch them, but they're never like go-tos.
Okay, you want me to help you out?
Okay.
And please don't tell me you watched this. North Shore.
What's that? I'm joking.
Yeah? No.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, North Shore, great cheesy Hollywood movie. I think it was late 80s, early 90s.
Point Break.
Yeah, Point Break's another one. As cheesy as Hollywood, I mean, I don't think Hollywood's ever going to get it right when it's your sport. It's very hard.
Impossible.
You watch it with different eyes, and you're like, "That's no like." Sometimes they'll take off left, and then in the next sequence they're still in the same way, but they're going right in a huge barrel, and it's like, well, wait a second, he was going left. Like things that Hollywood thinks are, hey, that's a great wave, but as surfers, you're thinking it's not feasible. It's not even possible. It's not even the same day. They'll paddle out in 2-footers. What's that one with?
You know that one about Bethany Hamilton?
About her? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an actual Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
We watched that one, Lincoln. Lincoln really liked that one, actually.
Really?
I don't remember what it was called. It's a good movie, though.
Yeah, I forget too. But there's another one. I mean, off topic, Swallow, I think that's
Swallow,
called.
yeah.
The one where she gets stuck on the outside reef and the shark's falling
Yeah.
around. Live Life. I don't know what her name was. Blakely. But North Shore, what the one Pee Wee Herman comes out in, I think. The movie Why Did I Ever Leave Ohio? They moved from Ohio to Malibu. Oh my goodness. It's got great one-liners, but they literally go out and surf and they're like, yeah, it's a big contest. It's 1 foot in Malibu. And the next thing you know, they're dropping into 10, 20-foot bombs. And it's like, come on, dude. I know it's a cheesy, popcorn flick, whatever, but at least try to get it right for the demographic that is mostly going to watch it, surfers. But yeah, In God's Hands was not one of those for me. Endless Summer, I remember
Endless Summer.
The first place I saw Endless Summer? Because he really likes his place, Catalina, in the casino.
No, that one is a classic for sure.
Yeah, we went there, my buddy, and we saw the poster, and the poster had longboard, and we're like, we don't, when you're kids, you're like, oh, anti-longboarding, and we just sat in there and were amazed. I mean, that was a great movie. Endless Summer 2 was pretty good, but Endless Summer 1, one of the best surf movies.
We went to Newport Beach Film Festival to go watch. What was the guy's name that made that film?
Bruce Brown.
So his son made a documentary about his dad.
Yeah.
And he won a bunch of stuff at Newport Film Festival, and we went and watched that. Red Bull hit me up. They're like, hey, we have tickets for this drive-in thing. Yeah. Do you want to go? I was like, for sure. Danielle had never seen it. And I thought we were watching in the summer, but it was actually that documentary about his dad. And it talked about like all of his achievements and what he's done and why he filmed in the summer and on maybe given Sunday because he loved moto and all that stuff. And it was really cool to see that side of it. And then we went home and watched In the Summer. Danielle had never seen it. I was like, how have you never seen? My wife is Danielle.
I think I ran across that because I typed in Endless Summer on like Prime Video or something, and it spit out that documentary.
It's a good documentary.
Yeah. No, I think he really brought out the way he, a couple of those waves he had before GoPros were even made, and he's rolling around on boards with these huge 50-pound camera cases. So, I mean, if anybody was an entrepreneur back then, they look at that and go, GoPro. So, Endless Summer was really good. Big Wednesday was good, but it kind of was a little too Hollywood. It's another good surf movie. Point Break. In God's Hands. I didn't really.
It's funny? Like, I was in like kindergarten. I think it came out like 91. I wasn't even in kindergarten yet. I was in.
Wow.
I could be mistaken, but I think it was 91.
No, you're probably.
I was born in 87.
I graduated high school in 93, and you were not even in kindergarten. Wow. Thank you. Okay, now I officially feel old.
Sorry. Anyway, so for a little kid, it was great. For any adult now, like I watched it not too long ago. Danielle Lincoln. Yeah, I guess. I mean, it was still awesome because I remember being the little kid watching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, any real surfer would have been like, this movie sucks.
Yeah. Well, I just remember Shane always acting like he was crying. He was like a soft guy, surfed big waves, and I remember the sidekick was always like, come on, dude, come on, like pitchy little voice. I'm like, oh, dude, this is like annoying me. And then Matt George is supposed to be the tough guy. Like, come on, dude, we can surf anything.
Yeah. Paddling.
I don't know. I can recite Point Break and a lot of those ones, but I barely remember that one.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't recite anything from it. I just remember them surfing perfect waves and charging.
Yeah. So would you rather drop in? Well, first off, where's your favorite spots in Southern California to surf? If there's a big hurricane swell coming in SoCal,
The pointer wedge.
the point or wedge, where the point is in Newport Beach, 15th Street, I think it is. The wedge is the wedge, but there's also cylinders, which we kind of went over last time. And because you're goofy footed, so do you like the wedge more, or how do you end up over at cylinders?
I like
goofy?
wedge more, but wedge gets so crowded. And now cylinders gets crowded too. It's crazy. Back in the day, like no one was at cylinders. And like I started surfing wedge when I was 15, and I remember back then there was just a small handful of guys that was surfing. It was all bodyboarders. Now there's more surfers and bodyboarders, and
they still blackball it in summer.
Yeah. It's just so stupid. Like everybody's out there now because everybody wants to get a photo surfing wedge. And like not everybody, obviously, some dudes are there because they rip and they charge. But I feel like a lot of people go there now just so they can show people that they're surfing wedge.
Yeah. Well, they also do a lot of the Jamie stuff where they do step offs.
Yeah.
I saw stand up paddle boards out there. Like it's
just different. I'm just being salty, but like back in the day, no one gave a shit about getting a photo there.
Yeah.
You'd go there to get your ass handed to you, maybe make
and
a
try
good
to
one.
survive because don't they break it?
Yeah, it's humbling and it's like the best feeling ever when you make one. And a lot of the waves you don't make, and the ones you do make, it's like shit that made all of it worth it.
And then so I think Seal Beach is wintertime swell, right? So what's better, Seal Beach or wedge for you?
2 different times a year.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gone to Seal Beach during the summer. And I usually hit up Seal Beach a couple times a year because it needs to be big for it to be big.
Yeah.
And if it's like head high, I'm not going to go to Seal Beach. I'll just go surf Huntington somewhere in Newport.
Well, that's kind of my theory when you are always like, dude, meet me at the wedge. I'm like, there's so many other spots to check. I got to go down the peninsula. That's a commitment.
Yeah, but if there's any type of south, wedge has waves and it's typically bigger than everywhere else.
Yeah.
If it's south and there's not like north in it and stuff.
Yeah.
Or not too much west.
Yeah. I still don't think I've ever gone. I've never surfed. Oh, I don't think I've ever in the water in the wedge. It's always
I hardly ever surf it anymore.
Like
I haven't even my past year I've barely surfed at all. I've been so busy riding my bike and working and doing all that. I haven't made a lot of time to go surf.
So how often changing? Like pandemic, I mean, you used to travel a lot to go to, all these different countries and ride. What's the pandemic done to all that?
Thankfully I still have all my sponsors are still supporting me, but there's no events.
Yeah.
I've done a lot more filming, which is awesome. I go on film trips, go film content to make web videos and whatnot. I was just in Brazil a little over a month ago, and that was my last event I did last year. So I went a whole year with not a single contest, which was the first time I've done that since 2004.
Are all your sponsors like anticipating this to end, or like they're just
nobody knows? Nobody knows. It's just see what happens. Who knows if I'll even be sponsored tomorrow? Like I'm still riding a lot. I'm filming. I'm putting out really good content, but nobody knows what's going to happen next. So
do you have a group of guys like Jamie O'Brien? Like, hey, I'm going to go film. Let's go. Like, you have the same guy who films you all the time?
I have a couple, for different sponsors. I'll have different filmers and stuff.
So you've surfed with Jamie. I think we went over that a little bit.
I surfed with him at the wave pool. I've seen him out at Wedge a couple times.
Where was his wave pool at?
Not his, the one I surfed.
No, in Austin. What kind of was it? Like a pump, or was it like what was? How did you get the waves going?
It had like a train thing.
Oh, it did have that train? Yeah. Oh, I thought it was only Kelly's thing.
No, I wasn't barreling or anything, but there was that train thing.
Oh, okay. I heard they're making one out in Coachella.
I heard that too.
Coachella Valley, which you're going to have all those people who go to Coachella.
That was Palm Springs.
Well, same area, right?
Yeah,
Indigo or Indio.
Isn't Josh Kerr doing something with that?
I don't know about that one, but Kalani Robb has his opening up Palm Springs Surf Club. And if you watch Jamie O'Brien's YouTube, he actually goes there. It's very exclusive. Like it's only, his Kalani's friends and people who can kind of promote it. But it looks like a fun wave. But then I actually heard that that's not even the real wave. They've got a whole other system in another pool because it's a water park. It's like Raging Waters.
Yeah.
So the one they're always riding is a short little demo one that they want people to get, test get their feet wet in. And then there's a whole other section, I guess. I don't know. But Jamie Bryant, Brian goes there and they skate, and Sheckler goes out there and they skate.
Oh, I saw that. Robbie Crawford was out there shooting with them all.
Yeah, and then there's a like a big, I don't know what you call it. It looks like a I don't know, big round thing, and they're going up and down all the way through it and stuff. But yeah, I'd love it. My buddy has surfed Kelly Slater's wave pool, and he showed me the video. I'm like, dude, you're a better surfer than that. He goes, you don't understand how hard that wave is to surf. It's like,
that's all I've ever heard is you have to be a really good surfer just to surf it, let alone shred it.
And I guess the guys who are running it day in, day out for Kelly, they say, don't try your tricks, don't try anything off the tops, or don't try anything. He goes, the pros have a hard time getting his wave wired. Just try to get barreled. So, I mean, he didn't look really good doing it, but he got in a couple sections. But I'm curious to see, like, I've been in those wave or flow rider things where there's all the water shoving at you. These have that one in San Diego. And your mind says, I'm surfing, but your body and your mechanics are more like wakeboarding. Like, you're more like, don't catch a rail. And I have a hard time with those things. I took a beating. That wave was called Maximus.
It shut down.
Yeah. But that thing took I was like 33, I think, when my wife took me there. And we had big plans to go out afterwards. I'm like, babe, I just want to go home. Like, I literally was taking a beating. Because if you get thumped, it's squishy and all that, but you get caught up in that wave. And it's just like a washing machine. Man. You just bam, bam, you either get spit up the side, or you got to wait till you're done tumbling to get shot out of little angle things. It was brutal. It was, I don't want to be like at the wedge. I don't surf the wedge because there's very few that you actually make. You just take a beating. You
make a lot of them, but there's definitely a lot that you don't make.
But I'll take waves now, especially the older I am. I want percentage wise of making them.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to risk going over the falls and getting a beating and taking 10 more on the head. I want that one that's going to make it, be a good wave, and it's beneficial to me.
I feel like that's been me in the past couple of years. Like, now there's just so many kids out at wedge, and like it's just so fucking crowded, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I still like to go there. It's still my favorite spot to go to, but I don't go there that often because of it anymore.
Yeah.
That's going to change this year.
So going back to Huntington, you leave today, head back. We're both out in Cabo. You're gonna go into a fighting place? I think we talked about Krav before.
Yeah, I think it could be cool to switch it up, try something different.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends that fight. I've just never been into it. But after a conversation the other day, I'm like, there's no reason not to learn some type of fighting skills.
Yeah. And the reason why I've done a lot of jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, and then I got into Krav, and now I'm back into MMA stuff. But the thing I like about it now, I'm 45. I'm not getting in bar fights. I'm not going out and putting myself in positions where people are drinking a lot and getting knuckleheads. But what I like about Krav is situational. It's not like, hey, put on your fight shoes, your boxing shoes, and we're going to fight. It's, hey, I'm giving money at the ATM. My wife and kid are behind me. What do you do if a guy comes up and attacks you? So then you got to do that. And all these different scenarios, because you're never going to be in a fight or be attacked in a perfect situation with rules. You're not going to say, hey, I got a Zoom meeting later. You can't hit me in the head. So it's only go neck below. Like, there's no perfect scenario where you're going to be in attack. And that's what I like about Krav is it's very situational. You have to have situational awareness. Think about.
Why am I so dark? There we go.
The lights behind you. Dark and dreamy.
We're good.
But yeah, for me, I like Krav, but then you got to choose. And I have actually some podcasts lined up with some really good Krav guys, and they can explain it better. But you walk into a Krav studio, the one in Huntington Beach, Black Belt Krav Collective, Krav Maga, excellent school. But then I moved to San Clemente and I tried to find one in San Juan. And first thing I walked in, the guy, I said, oh, so how do you guys take your test? What nights are you sparring? He says, we don't spar in Krav. I said, why not? He says, because we're too dangerous. We would hurt each other. And my theory is you need to know what it's like to get hit in the head, kicked in the leg, kicked in the gut, in a controlled environment to know how you're going to react. Because if you're in the street and a guy comes up to you and hits you in the head and you just drop because you've never been hit, and you're just like, I didn't like that. I mean, nobody likes getting hit in the head, but, I didn't like it. I'm going to curl up and take whatever you want. Here's my phone. Here's my keys. if you get hit enough in controlled environments to where it's like, okay, I lived, I didn't die. Yeah, it hurt, got a little bump, whatever. You know how to hopefully react to it. And so places that don't mix it up, don't get kind of physical, I think are doing a huge disservice to people, because I think any kind of training, whether it is for cardio or whether, you still are preparing people for oh shit situations in life. So if you do go back, first off, I'd recommend you go there. But if you don't, definitely get somewhere that's going to put hands on you and make you feel uncomfortable. Because if you don't, one day it might happen. Hopefully, it never does. Like I said, I train for something that's probably never going to happen, but I hope, and I'd rather know how to train and know how to do it than get attacked and not know what to do. So that's why I always do it. Obviously, it's a great workout and fitness regime, but it's good to know. I don't want to feel unsafe pumping gas or, walking down the street at 4 or 5 in the morning when I'm walking my dogs. I don't want to be super scared all the time. So that's what I get out of it.
When we're in Huntington on the boardwalk and there's so many crackheads there more than ever.
Yeah.
Every time I walk past one, I always play scenarios in my head when I have Danielle Lincoln next to me. Because I'm like, heaven forbid they try something on me. I want to be ready.
Yeah.
But I've never trained for it. I'm just mentally prepared every time.
At least you are aware.
And I feel like that's better than most.
Yeah,
because I used to never be like that until I met Danielle Lincoln.
Yeah.
Then I had to know that I need to be ready.
Yeah. And like with my family, we have a safe word, when we used to be in Heinz a lot, I'd have to, hey, keep your eyes up. I'd say the safe word. Kingston would kind of get behind me. No, because if I have to swing, he's tight behind me. I don't have to worry about him. Then you say the safe word after the threat is gone. But what it did teach Kingston was he started becoming aware.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, the safe word is watermelon. So if you ever hear watermelon Heinzen, it might be me.
Manchester.
No. Hold on. So yeah, we have a safe word in Huntington. And like you said, it's better to be aware than most people walking down with their heads in their phones. And people see that. The attackers, the bad guys, the guys who want your money and your stuff, they see that and know that it's going to be easy prey because somebody's looking down their phone. So try to make it as hard as possible to be a victim. It doesn't matter if you're 6'2", 6'5", 100, whatever. The people look for easy targets. So try not to be an easy target. But you're already preparing for it. You don't even know you're preparing for it.
Well, I mean, like I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot. I've been all around the world several times. I've been to really sketchy areas. I put myself in positions that I know you would never want to put yourself in.
Yeah.
And me, it's like, I don't know. I also feel like, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, it's just weird. Like, I feel pretty comfortable. I'm not going to go walk down the middle of the streets in Compton, obviously.
Do you always have a team with you when you're traveling?
You usually have like a buddy with me.
Yeah.
But we've been in super sketchy parts of South Africa and France, Costa Rica, dude. Like there's Brazil. Oh my gosh. I was wandering the streets in Brazil by myself and like just meeting people. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Like I lost my friends. I was trying to get back. My phone was dying and like everybody was just staring at me. I was like,
isn't like your team manager shouldn't he be with you kind of saying, hey, don't go to this place?
No, most of the time I don't even have a team manager with me.
Really?
I'll just go to a contest and I'll have friends at the events, but usually I go there by myself and we'll all go out after or whatnot. But sometimes you do get separated and it sucks.
Yeah.
Like somebody, or it's like we were in Canada this one time and my buddy Josh met some girl and just dipped out and left me and my buddy TJ to fend for herself. He had the car. He was sober. He was our DD. And like we didn't even know our address to our hotel because it's our own fault. We should have known, but Josh knew. We were like 20.
Yeah, I think when you're younger, you don't really care either. You're just like, hey, it's an adventure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where I'm thinking, man, I should have been dead, or this could easily happen to me here and there. But when you're young, you have that. I'm sure there's a term for it, but you just don't care.
Yeah.
You're young and dumb and think nothing's going to happen to you. Think you're invincible.
But I feel like a lot of times, like you hear all this shit, like bad stuff happening to people, but I feel like they almost attract it also in a sense.
I would agree with you on that.
Like I feel like I'm not attracting that bad energy for that to happen to me.
Yeah.
I know it can happen, but I don't attract it. Like some people just attract it. They could be doing nothing wrong, but they can look at somebody the wrong way.
Yeah.
And in his head be like, oh, look at that sketchy dude.
Yeah.
And then that guy like sucks his head. He's like, I'm gonna go punk this guy, you know?
But I can also vouch that you do make friends everywhere you go, whether we're walking past them or not.
Even if they don't
start
want to be
talking.
friends, they leave them.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times he's been here for 5-6 days. We walk by and they start chit chat with him. And I'm like, dude, we still got to get to point B. And he's over there making friends. Everybody. It doesn't, I mean, there's spear fishermen down there and we started talking to.
Girls doing handstands on the beach.
We,
The spear fishermen's made friends with.
I don't think kids watch this too much, but we saw, so it was what was all it? President's Day weekend.
We were out in the water swimming and there's these rocks that were kind of hidden. I look over and I go, Josh, look, that girl's doing a handstand, like leaning up against a rock.
Make it clean room.
Then the other friend gets there on her knees and was balancing also. And we were just like nudging shoulders, like, is this really happening?
It was quite entertaining, but also like we in the middle of like literally our kids and wives were around the bend on the
other side.
And they were like
out in the water, like 50 yards out. Like
my son's yelling at me, come in. I'm like, hold on, my man. I'm just spotting the water, making sure you can't see this. I'm doing a good dad thing, but they did about 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
For one time, the first time for sure, they were doing some X-rated stuff. The other times, I think they might have been posing, but
the first one was 100%.
There's
going
quite interesting things you see out here, anywhere, I guess. But
I swam in, and the spear fishermen were there, and I told them they're these Mexican dudes. Like, really, no way. And he went over there, and I saw him later. He ended up taking photos of them.
Yeah. And they were doing kind of risky shots there too, because I was still in the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy makes friends everywhere he is. But you could find a guy who says, "Oh man, this guy's super nice," get to know you, and then take advantage of you, hit you, do all that. That's the way I think. Yeah. I mean, I don't go up to everybody and say, "Hey, tell me your background? Are you a nice guy?" But people we just meet, I put them at a distance and don't give them too much information. But yeah, it's just. I'm also older. I'm kind of wiser in my ways.
Many ways.
But yeah, it's always good to stay on your toes, especially if you're going into all these random places. Like last night, we're in Cabo. I'm driving, and there's different things that you got to look out for as opposed to just enjoying the scenery and looking for whales.
With just hanging out by his truck with the hood open. I'm like, let's stop and help them out. You're like, nope, we're going.
Yeah. Somebody told me a story where they happened. It might have been in
I've heard stories of that.
Don't pull over or pull them to help because then they got the other people in the streets. And that happens anywhere, but I heard the story that was out here. And then somebody told me that a guy did that. Him and his buddy pulled up, and the guy comes up to the car and he yells like, keep going, don't stop. And then the guy comes up. I think it might have been thugs having a thug war, but he didn't get shot, and it was bad news. But that can happen anywhere. Just stay on your toes. But yeah, I mean, if you get into training back home,
I definitely would like to. One of the reasons I got a gun actually was 2 years ago. I never had been in a fight, never had a gun. I always wanted guns, but never took the initiative to go get one. And it's like a couple days before Christmas, and 3:30, 4 in the morning, somebody rings the doorbell. And yells like, Mike, there's somebody at the front door. I wake up, what the hell? What time is it? And I look, and I go to the side door in our carport, and there's some short, he's wearing a hoodie, he's all dark, his hands are in his pockets. He goes, I'm scared, I need help. Can you let me in? And I'm just like, no way, dude. And he's like, I'm scared, I'm lost, I need help, I need a ride home. I'm like, I can't help you, man. I'm sorry. He's like, I'm so scared. Can you call the cops for me? And I said, no problem. And he takes off running. And it freaked me out. I'm like, what the hell was that? Like, that was so weird. And about 2 minutes later, a truck drives super slow right past our house and then exits. And I'm like up all night now.
Did you call the cops? Did you tell them?
No, I didn't call them. I'm like, what could they do, at this point? Yeah. Like, whatever, they're already gone.
Yeah.
And it freaked me out. And then literally the next day, my wife's sister calls her and says, don't answer the door for anybody. People are ringing the doorbell in the middle of the night asking for help, then robbing people for all their Christmas stuff. And we had no idea. Danielle didn't even tell her sister that. And she told us that the next day. And
That's
I was
crazy.
like, geez, apparently what happened was people were opening the doors, people were jumping out from the side and attacking them and getting in.
I would, yeah. But it's also, you don't know what you're doing at 3 or 4 in the morning. But yeah, that would be sketchy.
Yeah,
That's
and it
sketchy for
freaked
sure.
me out. And my first thought was, shit, I don't even have anything to defend my family in this house. I went and bought a bat the next day at
Yeah.
Flanagan Sports.
Well, that was my very first gun. I was walking.
The bat?
No. That's when the story was like how I was walking, what is it? River jetties, Santa Ana riverbed. I was walking with my newborn child, 3 dogs, I think I had at the time. Go all the way down to the water, the bridge, Newport Bridge, come back, and I see a guy stumbling out, and he's cursing and all this stuff. He has a bomber jacket, middle of summer, and I see him. He's yelling, doing all this stuff. So I get my hand free of the dog leashes. I put him on, and he's getting closer. And as his drunk, coked out, whatever his mind was, he thought I was a threat. Yeah. So as he gets about 10 feet away from me, from his bomber jacket, just like a movie, a big old huge knife comes sliding out of his arm. I'm like, oh, and he has a 40 or something. So he chucks the 40, and now he's got this knife in him. And I'm just still walking with my kid. I'm not.
Oh, this is by the trails.
Yeah. So then as he gets closer, I'm looking at him just because I couldn't go the other way. It was a small path. So I had to go past him. But he's yelling at me, and I'm looking at him. It's like, dude, what's going on? He looks at
He had a
like,
machete, right?
Yeah, and I'm looking at him, and he looking at me like he thinks that I'm looking at him like to fight. And I'm just like, dude, you're freaking crazy. So he puts the knife up. He's like, what's up? Let's go, man. I'm like, no, man. And I just started walking a little bit faster and got past him, but he was still yelling at me. He's still waving.
Yeah.
He's crazy. He whacked out. But I went home and I went to Grant's Guns when they were open. I said, give me a gun. And he said, well, you got to do 10-way. I said, okay, give me a shotgun. So, but I ended up getting a K-bar knife. I got some other weapons, but I got the shotgun because of that guy.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I've seen that guy a couple of times after when we lived over on that one right to the sheep hill entrance. He comes floating by me, and I'm like, oh, dude. I remember him obviously, but he's so out of his mind.
Yeah.
He just walks by, and I go, how's it going, man? And he's like, all right, that's not good. I just let my fucking friend die the other day, blah, blah, blah. And he starts mumbling shit. I'm like, this guy has no idea who I am. And I saw him again. I'm going down Victoria Street. I'm the first one at the light. He rolls up with me side by side, like close as we are outside of my car, on a bike with all his recyclable cans. Yeah. And I'm like, one little nudge, I could ruin this guy's day, but what does that get? And it's like, I have so much to lose. If I would have, I've asked a cop friend, I said, what would have happened if I would have engaged with the knife? He says, first off, you don't ever want to do that. Second, if you do, stomp him, make sure he can't get back up, because you don't want his blood on you, one. You don't want his story versus just get out of there. Don't call the cops and say, hey, I just defended myself. Get out of there. And I don't know if this is the right information or not. This is just what I was told. And don't call us because now you got a problem. Why did you attack this homeless dude? He doesn't care if he goes to jail. It's another Tuesday for him. So that was my first gun. I think yours was a little more scary, just 3 or 4 in the morning.
Dude, that was at my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Like Sheep Hill's like Rip Riding. There's always been so many tweakers and homeless people in there, and people have been raped. People have committed suicide back in those woods.
Yeah.
And I remember a couple of years ago, my buddy was walking out. Some homeless guy came up bleeding, said somebody hit him with a sword. And it was probably around that same time. I mean, that was probably 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer. And that's crazy. That just sparked that memory.
Well, when we walk through there, I'm sure you've heard more than
I mean, there's so many crackheads.
And they got their own little villages or whatever, and you walk through there and they're yelling at each other. They're doing whatever they're doing. And I'm amazed that they can be there that long without the cops.
A lot of them got kicked out. They went through, cleaned a lot of it up. Yeah. There's these big invasive species bushes that are massive, like as big as this room.
Yeah, they used to live
behind. They make houses under them, you know.
I remember.
And they took all those out because the plants were invasive to begin with, and they just spread everywhere. But that's where all the
that's close to the bridge, right?
They were everywhere.
Yeah, the one close to the bridge, they had about 100 yards of just full on tent city.
Yeah.
I was blown away by it. And they all had, they had like tiki torches and stuff down there. They have set up down there pretty well.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is this place in Costa Mesa called Sheep Hills. And it's right on the border of Huntington Beach and Costa Mesa. And it's these BMX jumps that have been there for well over 30 years. I started riding there when I was like 12, but it was there way before then. But it's still my favorite place to ride. And there's you know, you never know who you're going to meet on any given day there for sure.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I wasn't allowed to go there unless I was accompanied by an adult. So my mom had been there and she found like child porn and a bunch of weird shit in the bushes, like just walking like right on the side of the trail.
Yeah. Well, once I got that attack on me, I Googled that area.
Yeah, there's a lot of sketchy shit.
And it was not good what I found. So we were only
there's always fires and stuff. And,
yeah,
you know, oftentimes when there's fires, we're the first ones there and we try to put a bunch out. This is the bottom line. The fire department's like, dude, this place would go up so quick if you guys weren't always here because we have water there from the jumps. We always have our shovels so we could throw dirt.
Well, the first month we were there, a big fire was there. They closed the street down. I walked down to stop the cops. I said, you know, how's it going? I asked him specifically, I said, is it pretty safe down there to run? Like, you know,
No.
And he goes, no. I said, so it's not good for my wife to go on the morning run. He goes, not unless you don't like her. He literally said that. I was like, oh, okay.
I always trip out when I see like just women and like teenage girls running by themselves back there. I'm like, dude, what you like? If you only knew what could be out there.
Yeah.
You know, and there's always the what ifs, but like I've seen so many on any given day, there's just people with mental disorders and drugged out, and they're just off their heads, just passing through.
Yeah, it's like what you said, though.
It's a great place to go to. It's amazing, but just watch your back.
And during the day.
Yeah.
But it's like what you said, what if? Like, you've been down there, you've never been attacked, but you know stories, you know people who have, and it's like, that's how what I train for now is like the what ifs. Probably never going to happen, but I'd like to know that I have the capability and the know-how if it does happen to defend myself and my family.
And that's another thing going back to earlier, like I was saying, I feel like I've never needed training.
Yeah.
And I still feel I don't, but I think it would be fun. It would be nice to have a little bit of peace of mind the older I get, you know.
Yeah.
Like
and that's what it does to me. That's a good point. It gives me a peace of mind. Like, I don't have to walk from to here to there with my car. I'm prepared and I got little things that I do common sense wise, but I'm not like, you know, super scared, but I'm more confident than I would be if I didn't have if I'd never thrown a punch before or never been in a fight. But yeah, there's just things like I tell my wife all the time, like, this is what you need to do if you're going to your car after a business meeting. Just common sense. Don't have your phone getting ready for the next meeting and everything. I mean, it's just, that's what people look for, especially in carports and stuff. And it drives me nuts that I get all these tools, basic little thing, tactical, you know, tactical flashlight, and try to teach her some stuff. And lo and behold, she was FaceTiming me one time in New York. Going, hey, look at how awesome this is down here. And I'm like, hey, where's the tactical? Where's all the stuff I gave you? Well, I don't know. I think it's in my purse. Well, you need to have a game plan before you get attacked, instead of getting attacked and going, man, I should have done this. And that's what I try to prepare for. It's like, always prepare for something. And if it happens, you can handle yourself a little bit better.
Yeah.
You were in New York?
Yeah, it's just another story. You're like, have you ever been in any sketchy situations? And it wasn't a sketchy situation, but we were filming this spot. There's a ledge and we're grinding it and stuff. The filmer, idiot, rolls a joint. And there's a camera there. Somebody called the cops because there's apartments and we're in the hood, like super sketchy. And he goes to jail immediately because he had weed. And they just booked him and then released him. It's just, you know, basically paying a fine. And they said the whole reason they even went was because a guy got murdered there a week prior in that exact same spot we were at. And like that stuff always happens in New York and any major city. There's a lot of crime. But just wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, and that could happen any day. Like you always hear in stories where it's like, we were in a safe neighborhood. This has never happened here. This is always the greatest, safest place to raise kids. Well,
yeah, but you also can't plan for that.
Yeah, and then your neighbor who might be having a bad week, year, or that thing happened just Ohio last week. Did you see that?
No.
It was on Instagram all over the place. There's a couple out shoveling snow. And there's an ongoing feud with their neighbor, and they're shoveling the snow on his property. And so the camera cuts it, you can hear the audio. He's like, fuck you, don't be you're a bitch. And they're kind of going to his side of the hood, like yelling at him. He walks off, comes back out. And I think the woman actually had a gun first and she shoots blindly at the guy. And he walks up, bam, bam, shoots them both. Guy starts running, so now he's off camera, but the girl's down and she's yelling something. He walks up, point blank, shoots her in the head. She drops, but she's not dead yet. She's still crying and making noises. He goes to the dude, boom, boom, shoots him down. Then he leaves, the guy walks away. He's like, you shouldn't have fucked with me, whatever. Two kids come around a corner. They're like, oh my God, should we call the cops? And she's still yelling, James. And then homeboy comes back out with an AR, and freaking, I think it's an AR. It's pretty, can't see really well, but goes right up to that woman again, point blank, bam. Goes to the other guy, bam, bam, and walks off nonchalantly. Ends up shooting himself. But they've had this feud for years, but you never know. And the guy was, I think, an old Navy vet.
Yeah.
You never know what other people are. They could be going through divorce, money problems.
My neighbors are for sure going to shoot me. I'm the guy. Damn it, Mike's coming over again just to say hi.
Yeah, but you never know what other people's stuff is. And like I've always asked the questions like, well, how do you know some cues and this and that? My trainer said one day, he says, you don't know like what level they are comfortable going. Yeah, they could be somebody with, I think we talked, or somebody, they could come in with a water pistol and think that they're from the hood, or they're from Beverly Hills, watch too many Eminem videos or whatever rap videos. I think it'd be funny with a water pistol to rob somebody.
Yeah, and then they get a bullet to their head.
Yeah, because they thought it was funny and joking. How is somebody the victim?
I think guns get a bad rep because they're trying to save somebody because they're scared for their own life.
And then you got somebody who grows up in and out of the system. Their parents are gang bangers. To them, jail is like a camp. And so their mentality is they got a real gun. They go, and you got to decipher whether it's the kid who wants to play gun on, play bang bang, whatever, think he's cool and have a story for Instagram, or the kid who literally is trying to survive and is going to kill you to do it and not even think twice about it. So you have to have all these scenarios like once somebody crosses that line, whether it be the A guy who's Beverly Hills or the Compton killer, once they cross that line, I think you got to be able to react and already know the violence level that you're willing to do before that scenario comes. I have it in my head, and hopefully I can do it when the time comes. But I think anybody who's watching nature shows, when a mom is trying to protect their kid, they go absolutely apeshit. You're like, I didn't even know that. Like, it could be the smallest little badger going up against a bear, and you're like, that badger's pissed. Well, yeah, because it had kids behind them. Like, there's rage in people, and you find out when you mess with somebody, a loved one. But yeah, the world's crazy. It's getting crazier every day, and I think training is awesome. We can only do good, and then surfing, obviously, got to keep surfing. That's the yin and yang.
Surf to clear your mind.
And that's what I brought up in the last podcast. I have my surf bag, and sometimes I'll go at a set time, I say 10:30, and hopefully the waves are good, and I'll try to go surf afterwards. But that's my happy medium. That's the yin and yang that we got. Surfing is obviously to get some rage out and do all that. And then, or did I say surfing? Yeah, fighting is the rage part. Not even rage, it's controlled, and I'm never angry doing it. But I'm sharpening the tools, and surfing is like, hey, there's some dolphins, here, get some good waves, let's have fun.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like my tool is like, okay, it's 8 to 10 foot. There's 100 guys out here, 3 wave sets. I'm going to go on that closeout, just pull in, get the vision. And then that's like, that like, I could be pissed off all day and I can get that one view and I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own thing. For me, definitely, I can get rid of one. Hitting the bag, hitting the person's even better because you're not beating up a person, but they're not going to be in the same spot all the time. Yeah. Because if you hit a bag too much, and you can watch UFC and see fighters who are really good at the bag, but they don't ever get hit. I think Ronda Rousey was one of them. In a contract, she said, "Don't hit her." And then you found out how she reacted when she got hit by Holly Holmes. I think was the first one to clock her, and then Amanda Nunes. She's like, no, don't hit me. So if you hit a bag really good and you're doing all this, bags don't move, they don't hit back. So when I was saying it's good to be a person is because a person fights back, they hit.
I got a couple good leg hits on you the other night after our first podcast.
Yes. But I didn't know we were going full attack mode, and you came in like an angry little Wolverine.
Hey, you should have been prepared. You've trained for this your whole life. I've never done it.
Well, I'm also in my green. This is my happy place. And you went all Wolverine on me, but but I love that. I love mixing it up. I love getting in there and sparring and doing whatever. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up with that. Surfing and fighting. There's a place for all of it.
Pull in.
BMXer Mike Hucker Clark. Thanks for being here, brother.
No worries.
I think I got to take you to the airport pretty soon, but we'll maybe go get some waves real quick.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
All right, brother. All right, guys. See ya.